As humans, we look after and care for one another. When one of us is sick, we nurse them back to health. When one of us is hurt, we help to heal them back to their normal selves. But who looks after and cares for our animals? We tend to forget how much we are all so much alike. According to the Museum of Natural History, we share about 98.8% of the same DNA as apes and monkeys. We share many of the same characteristics, emotions, and pain as some animals. They can feel neglect, love, happiness, and depression just like us. We have seen and heard many stories about different animals that have been locked up, killed, or mistreated in captivity. One tragedy that everyone's been talking about is the death of Harambe, a western lowland gorilla at the Cincinnati Zoo in Ohio. A 3-year-old boy climbed into the gorilla's cage and was grabbed and dragged by Harambe. Fearing for the boy's life, a zookeeper shot and killed Harambe. Harambe showed no signs of wanting to hurt the child and was shot because of fear. Harambe's story is only one example of what some animals will do after being held in captivity for a long period of time. In July of 2013, a documentary called Blackfish was released. This documentary is about one of the orca whales, Tilikum, that lives at SeaWorld, what he does there, and the negative outcomes of his captivity. The orca whale featured in this film became so bored of swimming in circles his whole life, he lashed out at one of the trainers and killed her. Since then, Tilikum has killed 3 other people. Tilikum was bored, stressed, and scared from being locked up in a bathtub for most of his life. He doesn't get the proper nutrition or exercise that all whales need to remain healthy. Harambe and Tilikum were both put in captivity, which caused them to do things that they normally would never do. Tigers are meant to roar to their heart's content in the wild, not be held captive in a small enclosed box. Elephants are meant to roam the African plain, not be imprisoned behind metal bars. Whales are meant to swim hundreds of miles a day in the ocean, not be held captive in a 20-foot by 30-foot swimming pool. According to SeaWorld of Hurt, whales at SeaWorld would have to swim around the perimeter of the pool 1,208 times to have swam the equivalent length they would have swam that day in the ocean, which is about 100 miles. Monkeys should be swinging from tree to tree in the tropical rainforests of Asia, Africa, Central America, and South America, not be playing on ropes inside a zoo's walls. Overall, no animal should have to live in captivity, unable to learn and perform necessary survival skills for in the wild. When I was a child, my favorite animal was the tiger. Tigers were an inspiration to me. They can jump heights well over 10 feet and can spring vertically as far as 20 feet. When I got older, I started learning more and more about these fascinating animals. But when I found out they were almost all being held in captivity, I was devastated. Why would anyone put a beautiful animal behind bars with only a couple ropes and a ball to play with? According to World Wildlife Fund, one of the world's largest conservation organizations, there used to be 9 species of tigers, but 3 have gone completely extinct, so we now only remain with 6. When I found this devastating news out, I knew I had to do something about it. As president, you have the ability to enforce and create laws protecting our animals. During your presidency, I hope you will help to save our wildlife by doing what you can and doing your part in trying to find a solution. I know that domesticated zoo animals cannot just return to the wild, but I think I have found a good and reasonable solution. According to an article from CNN, a win-win solution for captive orcas would be to create sanctuaries where captive orcas can be rehabilitated. It could be something along the lines of a sea pen or a netted-off cove that was large enough for a whale to do a sufficient amount of swimming and to live in a more natural habitat. Other animals could also be fenced off in the wild so you could still care for them, but they would have much more room to run and play on. With your help, I feel that this wildlife crisis can come to an end and a new period of time will come where all species of animals are thriving in the wild. We need to speak up and help all of these creatures who lack a voice, because if we don't, then who will? Please help us to find a solution and help bring captive animals back into the wild where they belong.